Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalica and you're going to be nicer to call center staff after watching this video. My old tale from a call center. I just found this subreddit and felt like I needed to share the one personal story I have from briefly working at a call center in Maine. I was recently looking for a job and found this call center in Maine that my sister-in-law worked at for years. Her and my mum told me it would be a decent enough jumping off point for me getting into the tech field and meeting new people, which I have struggled with. So I applied and immediately got hired after the interview, so they brought me into training where they started it again. This took roughly 2 weeks before you got assigned to a team, area and cubicle. They had all the bells and whistles of playing up to how much fun they have, what they do, how nice everyone is, how often we do stuff like pizza lunches or doing theme weeks where you can dress up. For a bit, I thought that it didn't seem so bad and that I could manage it well here even if it gets stressful. The first week felt like a slog of introductions and being treated like a child, but I got to the weekend, but it felt like a day before I was already back in the building. That was a little demoralizing, but I tried to keep my spirits up. My mom even decided to help out and make me lunches so that I wouldn't have to worry about buying anything from the watering hole. This was their vending machine area that was under super surveillance. It was around this time that I found out that they had one person in the IT department handling everything going on. That worried me a little, considering this entire building was filled with at least 500 to 700 people on one floor, taking calls every second. Week 2 came around and we focused on DirecTV and practice calls. These were kind of fun to do with some of the people in the training class, but about a day into week 2 we got pulled into dealing with sprint calls on the live floor. They said they needed more bodies and to ignore training and just let them in. They gave us a script and said, "Good luck to you all." I did a lot of calls and knew how to close the tickets for each of them, roughly, based on what happened in the call. I was nervous and feeling kind of overwhelmed about how fast everything changed, but I tried to keep up with what I was given. I had this one call where a lady was so angry and frustrated about DirecTV equipment she sent back that we had never recorded, but I have no idea about it. She swore me out for a long time until she finally requested to talk to someone above me, which felt like a relief from a hellish torment. After some of the hurtful things she said, I took a bathroom break, but I knew I had 5 minutes. I rushed to the bathroom and sat in a stall just counting until I knew how long I had. I felt so crushed, but I knew I had to go back there. I finished up the day relatively quietly and went home to vent to my mom about how awful I felt because of the workplace environment and the abuse from customers who won't even think about what they said or did to me 5 minutes after the call. She told me to hang on and that there was always rough patches in desk jobs and office spaces that have to deal with customers. She calmed me down and assured me that everything would be okay. The next day would be my last day there. They finished training early since we were already on the floor with every other worker there and gave us our badges and seating arrangements. I was assigned in a corner area that was kind of near a window. I had a nice older woman on my left who gave me a lollipop to welcome me to the team. She was very sweet and I thought she would make a wonderful co-worker. She told me things like, be ready to eat fast or go to the bathroom fast so you don't sound bad on the calls. If the quality team hears you sounding bad, they'll reduce your rank and grade based on your call. I felt deflated again after hearing about grades and being constantly supervised like a child and having to live under constant pressure of who's going to slap me around next. I remember sitting at my cubicle for the very first time and feeling this wave of despair hit me. The walls of the cubicle grew larger and loomed over me. My chest felt tight and my legs were weak. I couldn't breathe right, and I knew this was my life now. If I stayed here, I would be trapped in this state of helplessness forever. I went to go and find my trainer who oversaw our class for the last week and a half and talked with her about how I was feeling. She was helping out others from the class in another area, but she mostly brushed me off because she'd been pulled from one conversation to the other. She told me at one point just to breathe and go back to my desk. I remember watching her walk away from me and feeling this feeling of empowerment. I looked around me and saw all of these people talking the same way, looking at the same screen, and I was just in the middle of the aisle doing nothing, but wanting to make a choice I knew I had to make. I thought to myself, I don't want to be here. I want to leave. In that moment, I walked out of the floor and out of the building. I went to my car and called my mum. I told her everything that happened, how I felt, and started crying. How I felt wasn't normal, and how awful I felt working here wasn't normal. I told her I was quitting and I would find another job, but I wouldn't be staying another day here. She supported me and told me to finish up the day at the very least. I came back and was swarmed by 5 supervisors who were in a panic looking for me. They reprimanded me somewhat, but wanted me back on the phones. They had my supervisor sit behind me with one of the male trainers to help me do a better job at handling the calls or customers in case one got rowdy. I made it through the day, and even my own training classmates checked up on me to see if I was okay. I felt guilty for being so selfish and for being emotional at all, but I knew this was the last time I would ever go back to the call centre. This would be the last time any of them would probably ever see me again. I told the head of the branch that I was quitting, I got my final check, and I never went back to that call centre again. A part of me is still self-conscious about how I left the job and how I let my emotions get the better of me where it affected others, but I think it was something that I needed to experience in order to better understand what is important about a job for me. That moment of standing in the aisle alone and having that empowered feeling of, if I don't want to be here, I can leave, is something I'll never forget in my life. If there was one good thing that came from that place, it was that moment. Customer tries to pull a fast one upon being told no, gets called out. One of our regular customers is notorious for never wanting to take no for an answer. He'll come up with some crazy crap he thinks our system should be able to do, but it can't. When told it's not possible, he will continue to push and ask and reiterate until you say, yes, it can do that, right away, sir. And as you can guess, nobody ever says this, so he continues to push. Seems to think that we can't means that we refuse. Usually takes a few days for him to quit calling and give up after getting the same answer from no less than 15 people. So I get a call from this delightful a-hole yesterday. He brings up some wild thing he wants that I know our system physically can't do, and I tell him this. We spend about 15 minutes going in painful circles as he continues to push and reiterate what he wants, and I tell him that it's not possible in about 12 different ways. I finally end up telling him I'll be happy to reach out to our team for a second opinion, just to get him to F off. Even so, delightful a-hole continues to push. At this point, I'm all but verbatim telling him we can't do that. There's no way for us to do that. I'm not withholding some sacred company secret. I'm telling you, we physically can't do this. After a few more minutes of him basically refusing to leave me alone until I say yes, he hangs up on me. I wait. Sure enough, I see his name pop up in the queue almost immediately after. Our phone software tries to send us the last person we spoke to if they hung up and called back within a certain period of time. We have no clue what the exact time period is because it sometimes results in having to speak to the same person multiple times over the course of a day if they're frequent callers. He's routed back to me literally 2 minutes later. Thanks for calling the company, this is OP. Delightful a-hole in his totally different question, I've never called about this before voice. Hey, I just had a quick question about this feature. Oh yes, I believe we spoke earlier about the feature. Was there anything else I could do to clarify things in that regard? He laughs nervously. Look, I know you've told me no, we can't do that over and over again about 6 times, and I really just want to speak to someone else. As I mentioned before, I'd be more than happy to reach out for a second opinion on this and get back to you. I'll just need a bit of time to speak with our team. Yes, that's fine, thank you, and he quickly hangs up. Didn't hear from him for the rest of the day. I did find out that he's tried contacting a couple of other departments about the same question. One of the specific departments actually took over dealing with him since his question fell within their realm a little bit better than just tech support knowledge, aka they'll be able to tell him no in a fancier way than I could. I'll get you fired. A list. Whenever a customer threatens me with termination, I could swear that my voice automatically becomes sultry sweet as I provide my employee number and name. A name that we make up for security reasons and a number that would only mean anything to the right people. You cannot be fired unless the customer submits a formal complaint or you've been caught being rude by quality control. This doesn't deter them from trying, and I've heard the phrase, "I'll get you fired," more than once. For example, the customer was asking for documentation that we had zero access to and for which we had no protocol. I asked the higher-ups for help. Transfer to another department was needed. Customer has been on the phone for an hour and has allegedly spoken to that department already. Accuses me of not doing my job. Give me your name and your employee number and I'll get you fired. Customer did not meet the requirements to pick up our product that she prepaid for. Sorry ma'am, but I can fully refund you. You're refusing to help me. Give me your name and employee number so I can fire you. Then she hangs up, without her refund. Customer's product not available, so she was given the option to upgrade for a little extra, still less than the bigger product's original price. She called to get a full refund and compensation on top. I told her I'm only a sales rep and I can't do that, and how I can transfer her to the customer service line to file a complaint. I'm gonna leave a nasty review. Also, give me your employee number and name. Then she hung up. I apologise that your product doesn't work. Let me transfer you to the people who can actually help you. No, I can't get to your house myself. No, I can't send any of my colleagues either. Okay, sir, my employee number is... We can only give the phone numbers to pickup locations, but can't connect the call to them. Not because we don't want to, we physically can't. I've had customers who think I'm just denying service and either request a supervisor or threaten termination. I couldn't magically lower the price from $300 to $100 in a particularly expensive CA location. The regular price for the same product was over $500. You're charging me extra on purpose. Give me your employee number and name. They didn't give me my product because I'm POC. No, they denied you the product because you don't have the mandatory ID, nor did you meet the requirements for payment. Now you're discriminating against me too? I'll get you fired and sue you for discrimination. Well, how was I supposed to know I prepaid and there was a cancellation fee? Sir, you entered all of your credit card information and just below the field you can find our cancellation policies. I'll get you fired. I wouldn't blame the customers in some of the cases I've encountered because they did get screwed big time, but going out of the way to kill the messenger will not get them anywhere. Okay, so that's all for r/Tales from Call Centers. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Twitter and Patreon links are in the description, and any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching.